Oftentimes, the most difficult task in developing an informative presentation is determining what you're going to speak about. Today, we'll focus on some considerations for topic selection, particularly for the informative speech, but potentially can be used for the persuasive speech as well. We'll review some of the types of informative presentations that might inform your decisions for topic selection. For my classes, I have some considerations for you as well on topic selection. And then we want to talk about where you can actually find topics and how to make those topics relevant to your audience. So what can you talk about? Well, the short answer is it depends upon a number of factors. It depends upon the assignment. If you have to do an informative speech, but your professor required you to do a demonstration speech, that will make a difference. It also depends upon the audience. Very important that you tailor your topic to the audience. The audience is the reason you are doing the speech, so you want to find out as much about the audience as you can. If you're speaking to a business class, for example, then doing a speech on how to make Rice Krispies treats may not be appropriate. The resources that you either have or have access to or are required will make a difference as well. The resources that you have if you want to do a speech on, for example, how to do CPR, you might need to have access to a Recessa Annie. You also would need to determine what resources are available in the facility where you are scheduled to speak. You can't use PowerPoint, for example, if you don't have a PowerPoint projection system. And oftentimes your instructor or the situation has requirements for you. If you are required to cite 10 good quality academic sources for your speech, then a topic such as rock, paper, scissors, the game that you often played in elementary school, would probably not be a good choice here. Ultimately, you must be interested in the topic. Whatever you come up with should interest you. Consider that if you're not interested in your topic, why should your audience be interested in it? The topic should be something that interests or is relevant to you and your audience. But keep in mind that we may not know that we are interested in it until we hear the presentation. Many times I'm sure you've sat at home and you've been watching TV and all of a sudden your interest gets piqued by something on the History Channel or the Discovery Channel that you never knew that you would be interested in until you were exposed to it. Some additional considerations. Consider how long is the presentation supposed to be. Everything tends to take longer. If you're doing a 5 to 7 minute speech, that will make a difference in terms of topic selection than if your speech is required to be 22 minutes long. Are there some additional requirements that you must meet? I've alluded to some of them previously, but in terms of supporting material, how many sources do you need to cite? Presentation aids, topic focus or limitations that your instructor or the situation provides you. And then consider that the audience is the reason you're doing the speech. How much does the audience already know about your topic? That will make a difference not only in terms of what you put in there, but what slice of the topic you're going to cover. Informative speeches, if you recall, can demonstrate or instruct. They can explain or provide information, describe, define, and they can do all of these about events, processes, objects, animals, places, or people, and concepts. So there are a variety of topic areas that you could focus on. These next criteria are specific to my students, but may hold true for other instructors as well. Avoid inherently persuasive topics. Rather than doing an informative speech on gun control, which is inherently persuasive, perhaps you could consider the history of the toilet, which was, by the way, invented by Sir Thomas Crapper. Try to select fun, relevant, interesting, and significant topics, topics that are of some value to the audience, and we'll talk about that a little bit later in this lecturette. Ask yourself, why would the audience care to listen to a speech on this topic? And then, what can I do to build the significance of it or to make it relevant to them if it's not immediately discernible? Where can you find possible topics for an informative speech? First suggestion is to look to yourself. What do you already know about? You've taken a plethora of college classes. You've been involved in various activities in high school, in your churches, in your sports arena. What is it that you already know about that might work for an informative speech? You can flip through magazines, newspapers, books. What kinds of things catch your attention? They may be possible topics for a speech. You can channel surf. Pay attention as you're looking through the channels. What kinds of things might be interesting to you? Even if it is a situation comedy, maybe there's something mentioned in the situation comedy that you thought, hey, that might be interesting. Pay attention to what you do every day. Little things might work into big speeches. Allow yourself to get distracted. As you play on the internet, what sorts of things are catching your attention? Some suggestions include to brainstorm lots of topics. Piggyback, connect, and get zany. Just put anything down on paper, and that may spur another thought, and you may end up with something very creative. Then you want to narrow it down to 3 possible topics, but do not commit yet. These are possible topics. Set a timer for 10 minutes for each of those topics, and then start researching on the internet. So set aside 30 minutes to research each of those topics. You may find one of these that's interesting. You also may find that you will have to revise it. Perhaps you need to take a different slant on it. Or there's more information than you thought. You'll need to narrow it down. We've talked about the importance of making topics relevant or of value to your audience. A term I'll often use to describe this is making your topic significant. Making your audience feel that the speech that they're listening to is worth their time. But how do you actually do that? One way is to find a statistic that justifies the topic as worthy of study. Let's say that you've decided to do your informative speech on chocolate. Perhaps you can cite a statistic from the Chocolate Manufacturers Association when they revealed that 50% of women will likely give a gift of chocolate to a guy for Valentine's Day. This should make the topic of chocolate significant to your audience, since the majority of the audience will either give or receive a box of chocolates at least one time in their life. Perhaps you can connect your topic with what's going on in the world, with the current events or popular culture. If Valentine's Day is right around the corner or has just passed, you might be able to connect your topic of chocolate to Valentine's Day, making it significant. Is there a new law that has been passed that you can make your topic connect to? What's going on in popular culture? What's the #1 movie in the movie theaters? If it happens to be about gambling, that might justify your topic of card counting as interesting and relevant to the audience. You can explain how the audience would benefit from knowing information about this topic. Let's say that you're doing your informative speech on tax preparation. You could say, you too will need to do taxes one day, and a few simple tips will help make this job easier. That would give the audience a reason to listen to your presentation. And you can also quote a source that supports the value of the topic you've chosen. Let's say you've decided to do your speech on olive oil. Well, you could cite the Mayo Clinic, which warns us to limit our fat intake. At the same time, it praises the use of olive oil. That might help justify olive oil as a topic for the audience. Quiz time. What are some considerations for selecting an informative speech topic? What are some ways that you can select a topic for your informative speech? And finally, how might you make the topic like epitaphs, which are inscriptions that people write on tombstones, relevant to an audience? Now you should be able to approach the task of selecting your informative speech topic with confidence and enthusiasm.